We have them, we experience them. More often than not, we are not even aware of them. Yet they affect our lives. And if we are able to tap into their immense potential, then so many more things in our lives get easier for us and we have access to many more possibilities. So I invite you to listen along to find out how can this be possible for you too. Because you see, we typically think about black holes as these objects in the universe, but an analog of them exists in our own minds too. And I want to tell you a bit more what this is all about. So, black holes in the universe, they sound very provocative, very mysterious idea, but actually, the idea is pretty simple. They are these objects which create gravity so strong that not even light can escape. The same way the sun is at the center of our solar system and emits light, and the gravity of sun is so strong that all the other planets revolve around it. So black hole gravity is so strong that basically, we reach a point where gravity gets so strong that not even light can escape. And exactly this area of space where the gravity gets so strong, this is what we call an event horizon. And that's the cloak of darkness that surrounds a black hole. Now, as we said, black holes are about gravity. And here is the interesting thing about gravity. Gravity has the tendency to attract things, to focus things together. And another interesting thing about gravity is that it's not only about mass, it's also about energy. So if we put too much mass or too much energy in a small amount of space and time, then a black hole forms. For example, let's take our own sun, again at the center of our own solar system, right? If we start compressing it, and making it smaller and smaller and smaller, there will come a point where gravity gets so strong, because as we compress it, it gets stronger and stronger, gets so strong that the sun starts collapsing onto itself, and then basically a horizon forms, and we get this black hole, this dark object. Now, what does this mean for us, right? That was a good explanation, but what does it mean for us, for our own minds? Well, you see, sometimes as we go through life, we go through several incidents where concentrated emotional energy may occur. And sometimes we are aware of these things that happened, and sometimes we are not even aware of these things that happened. So, like for example, a specific accident someone may have had can be a thing they were aware, or some specific life difficulties, which can be someone can be aware of them. But sometimes we just accumulate things, and through life, and suddenly we form these states of intense emotional energy, concentrated, like there are many thoughts collected together in a small amount of thinking, if you'd like, and they contain a lot of energy, and they exert a very strong gravitational pull in everything else we do in life, and we don't realize it. Because here's the thing: this is like a thought loop, right? That has a lot of energy inside it, and our minds have several thought loops all the time. So, like right now, for example, as you listen to this video, you may be thinking like, "Oh, what am I gonna cook later, or eat later, or so how I need to go to pick up the my children from somewhere, or what is my plan for tomorrow?" And simultaneously, you are thinking about what this video is saying, and these are all loops that are running in our heads all the time, and a lot of the times we're aware of them, but sometimes we are not even aware of them. And here's the thing, right? So if we are not aware of these thought loops, how do we know they exist? If we cannot see black holes because they are black, how do we know they exist? And of course, one way is like theory, but I'm talking here about the practical thing, right? What are the things we notice? So in our own lives, right, we may notice certain behaviors. We may notice that we exhibit certain behaviors that we don't understand where they're coming from. Perhaps our mood suddenly changes, or we may have like other habitual behaviors that don't serve us, but we kind of do them without realizing and with no control of them, like binge eating, drinking, smoking. For everyone it's different. Some of us may experience even chronic pain, anxiety. These are things which are more aware. They're there all the time, right? Or we have certain triggers that puts us in certain states, and we know this is not good for us, but somehow it keeps happening. And so it has like a pull, like there are these states we find ourselves in that tend to bring us into certain behaviors, into certain experiences, certain emotions, and we don't understand it. Similarly with black holes, the way we know they exist is from the effects they create in the objects around them, the way other planets and stars rotate around them, or from the way matter falls inside them and creates these like accretion disks and these X-ray jets. So we know these things exist from the effects we observe externally, even though these effects don't directly imply there is necessarily a black hole there, either in the universe or in our own minds. But if we notice these things, then it's a good idea to start thinking and investigating. And because that's the first step, right, in reclaiming our power. And I will talk about this in a second. So, because since we said about reclaiming our power, that's the promise here. That's the promise. You see, because black holes contain all this concentrated information in so much small amount of space, they contain a lot of energy that if we can access and a lot of information that if we can access and direct it in other areas of our life in a conscious manner, in a way that serves us, then this is really powerful. So it's not about dissolving the black holes, not necessarily at least, but it is about being able to cooperate, being able to reach through the horizon. It is about like being able to use this thing that's already inside us. So here we come, right? That's the promise. And then we can see that we can operate with less pain, with less stress, we increase our resilience, the window of tolerance, all these things that people talk in psychology about increasing performance, going into flow states, performing better, having more joyful lives, more productive lives, whatever it is for you that you desire to do better in your life and enjoy it more and have a more full life, whatever this means for you. So here's the thing, like how we do that. Now, I'm gonna tell you first something very interesting about black holes that most times people don't say. Most times people don't say these things because they don't know them. And like, they don't know them because they haven't like studied black holes deeply. Most of the time, when people use black holes in the popular science or in these woo aspects, they haven't really studied black holes. And that's fine. But I can bring you in some more things and make you aware of them. So, there are three things you need to have in mind. The first thing is that a black hole's horizon is nothing in particular. Yes, it is a point of no return if we cross it on one hand, But on the other hand, someone who falls inside the black hole doesn't notice anything there. Like they experience normal space time. That's what I mean with that. So they just keep falling like nothing has happened until they hit the singularity at the center. So it's not that they cross the horizon and something like tragic happens. No, they keep falling. I mean, they experience the effects of gravity as gravity gets stronger and stronger, but that's another thing. When crossing the horizon, nothing happens. But crossing the horizon doesn't let us access the information necessarily. That's one thing. Another thing is if we want to see, to notice the information inside the black hole, we have to send like little probes, but these probes have to be very uh, very gentle, very low energy actually. Has to have to be, not high vibrations, have to be actually low, gentle vibrations. Instead of being like, oh, is it that? This is more like softer questions, right? When we examine our own black holes. How could this be? I wonder what this is. Then we can probe inside. And the third thing is that black holes have a unique ability, and this has to do with why we don't need to dissolve them. Black holes are great scramblers of information. If we throw something into a black hole, like let's say a chair, it gets associated with everything that has ever fallen into the black hole. Similarly, if we send something inside the black hole, it gets associated with everything that has been inside the black hole in our own mind, right? The thought. That can be both dangerous and useful depending how we do it. So, when we throw something into a black hole, if we are not gentle with it and we're still stuck in these patterns when we see the horizon as an enemy, right? These shadow aspects of ourselves, we see them as enemies and separated from us. That's what the black holes represent here. Then, what happens is this gets integrated with everything that's inside and becomes one of it, and the black hole grows. And then we find, for example, that more and more things are triggering us, or our pain spreads, or our anxiety increases. And that's not good, right? I think we all agree with that. However, if we ask gentle questions, which are not one way things that go into inside and the black hole increases, but more like building bridges across the horizon, like Einstein-Rosen bridges, these little wormholes connecting us with areas behind the horizon in our own mind with gentle questions, then we can reach the collective wisdom of everything that's in there. Because when something dissolves and becomes one with everything that's in there, right, everything, it means it has communicated with everything that's in there and has collective wisdom we can reach. And that's the essence of it. When we ask these gentle questions and we build these bridges across the horizon, we reach the collective wisdom of everything that's in there that happened. And that doesn't mean we have to revisit the events directly. Sometimes we are too stuck in this idea that we have to revisit the events directly. No, in a symbolic way, in a representative way, which is different for every person. We can reach the collective wisdom that's inside the black holes in our minds, learn from it, and with this bridge in presence, be able to ask questions and then get wisdom out and be able to direct our intention, our attention, our energy in productive ways, in generative ways, in ways that help us grow, that help us adapt, in ways that help us, be our better selves for us and the world. And that's what this is about. Because when you are able to access this information, when you are able to communicate with these black holes inside us without everything new we experience being thrown in them and then them growing and getting stronger, but actually as resources we can tap into when we need them, because they are there for a reason and they happened. So they are there. We don't need necessarily to completely remove them. We can communicate with them, we can cooperate with them, and use their wisdom and their energy for things that make our world better. And that's a very important thing in ourselves, in the post traumatic growth, in personal level, in a societal level. That's the power of realizing that we have black holes in our minds, that we can gently communicate with them and actually bring their wisdom to fruition. So, if you reach the end, because I know this was long, please like and subscribe. If you reach that long the end, I imagine this meant you really enjoyed this, or it kept your attention for some reason, or it made you wonder. So please support me by liking and subscribing. And if it gets your mind spinning and you start thinking, like noticing things in yourself, send me a message. I would love to know and have a conversation with you how you realize this notion in your own self. Or leave a comment what this inspired in you, whatever way you feel comfortable, okay? But if you reach the end, please like and subscribe to support me so I can keep doing more of these videos and put more of this wild message out there in the world. Thank you.